Before I get started today, I want to ask you to do something, and that is raise your hand if you've ever gone through a life transition that make you feel like you didn't even realize who you were anymore. I'm going to also ask you to keep your hand up if during the season you kept showing up for everyone around you, whether that was your friends, your kids, your partner, your job, while falling apart on the inside or not feeling that great on the inside. Here's what I want you to know before we go any further. That season of your life, it didn't break you. Instead, it was trying to build you. My name is Karen Bryant, and today I want to take you on a journey. Not a journey back towards all the hurt that you experienced while you were going through that, but a journey forward into who you are becoming. Because what I've learned through my pain, my reinvention, now through working with women, is this: life is a journey, and every single experience is leading you to your destination, even the ones that brought you to your knees or made you feel like you were at a breaking point. For a long time, I lived in what is called survival mode, or what I call survival mode. I was a single mother working undesirable jobs that I didn't like, all while earning a college degree that I desperately needed because I had to provide for my children. It was not an option. And I learned during this process how to just keep moving, even when I was exhausted, overwhelmed, or afraid. Then life shifted. As my children entered puberty, I got married, relocated to a new city, left behind my support system, everything that I thought I knew, my family, my friends, my job, and I stepped into a blended family. From the outside looking in, it probably looked like the best chapter, the best phase of my life. But internally, I was constantly adjusting, constantly sacrificing, and constantly holding everything and everyone together. And then the transition came that changed me the most. When both of my children were in college, I stood in my house, quiet for the first time in years. And I didn't recognize the woman that was standing there. I had spent so many years taking care of everyone else that I didn't know what I liked, I didn't know what I wanted, and I didn't realize that I was in a very unhealthy relationship because survival had become my normal. I had been living in this for so long that it was second nature to me. That season brought me grief, a lot of uncertainty, divorce, stress, and exhaustion. But it also brought me something that I didn't expect. It brought me an awakening. And that awakening became a decision to go back to school. And this time, while going back to school, I was going to rebuild my life, not from the outside in, but from the inside out. Here's the thing that no one tells us about life transitions. We are prepared for the external change, but we are never prepared for the internal change. For example, we know divorce, the logistics that come with it, means paperwork, new living arrangements. We know empty nesting means quieter mornings. And we know burnout means that we need a vacation. What nobody warns us is that our identity begins to shift, and that comes with the change. Survival is in no way the same thing as living. When we spend years in a caretaking mode, whether that's motherhood, marriage, relationships, caregiving, or even just appearing as the strong one, we don't just lose time. We lose ourselves piece by piece, quietly and slowly. And here's the dangerous part. We get so good at performing at okay that we stop noticing how not okay we are. We smile on the outside, we manage on the outside, we function on the outside, all while on the inside, we are on empty, wondering, who am I now? And feeling guilty that we even asked the question. That guilt, it's not a weakness, that is a wound. And the first step towards healing is simply recognizing I have been surviving and I want to start living. Let's talk about the truth about transitions. I want to help you reframe this today. We have been taught to see transitions as problems that we solve or something that we have to just get through as quickly as possible so we can get back to stable ground. But what if that stable ground is the transition? What if the discomfort that you're feeling in the middle of this life change is not a sign that something is wrong, but it's a sign that things are shifting? I want you to take a moment and think about a caterpillar. A caterpillar. Inside chrysalis, right? When it's inside chrysalis state, its entire body dissolves. It literally becomes unrecognizable before it becomes what it was really meant to be. That is transformation. It's not comfortable by any means, but it is necessary. Transitions are not the end of your story. They are the beginning of the next chapter. The season that broke me open was the divorce, the loss of my identity, the silence of an empty house. That season didn't take something from me. It revealed me, who the real me was. It showed me what I was made of. It showed me what I truly value, what was important to me. It also showed me a version of myself that I had buried under decades of doing for everyone else. And now I get to help other women find their way back to themselves. Because here is what I know to be true. The most difficult seasons of your life are often very seasons that lead you to purpose, peace, and power. So I want to share with you the framework. So how does this really work? How do we move from surviving to living, from falling apart to finding ourselves? That's the question. That's the question that I ask myself. And over years of healing, studying, and walking alongside women in transition, I have developed what I call the RxU method, a 3-step framework for emotional wellness that actually works. Because just like a doctor writes your prescription, when you're physically unwell, emotional wellness requires a prescription too. And you are the one that has to fill it. So here's your prescription. Step 1, reflect. The first step is reflection. And I know that reflection sounds simple, but for most of us, stillness becomes terrifying. It's scary. Because when we stop moving, what happens is we have to really feel what we've been outrunning. Reflection is not about ruminating. It's not about replaying every painful moment. Reflection is asking the right questions. When did I stop recognizing myself? What emotions have I been carrying without naming? What version of myself am I grieving? In my practice, this is where we start. This is the beginning because you can't navigate the journey first without knowing where you are. Step two is regulate. The second step is regulation, and that is where the real work begins to happen. Many of the women I work with have either been taught how, they've never even been taught how to process emotions. We are taught to manage them, push through, suppress them. So when a major transition occurs, it hits and the emotions come flooding in. We can experience grief, anger, fear, shame, and it feels unbearable, like we can't even tolerate it. Regulation is not about suppressing what you feel. It's about developing the capacity to hold what you feel without being swept away by it. This is where tools like affirmations become powerful, not as like a toxic positivity, anything like that, but as an anchor. When the wave hits, an affirmation is the thing that you can hold on to until the water settles. And I know this personally. In some of my most difficult seasons, I sat with myself and wrote affirmations that became my lifeline. Words I needed to hear that no one else was saying to me. Those same words are now words I offer to women I work with. Step three, reconnect. Choose yourself again. The third step is reconnection, returning to yourself after you've gone through a huge loss, after the transition, after years of giving yourself away. This is where healing becomes whole. This is where you stop asking, who was I before? And you start asking, who am I now? Or who am I becoming? Reconnection looks like setting boundaries. It looks like rediscovering what brings you joy. It looks like finally giving yourself permission to want things because you matter and you deserve it. Healing begins when we give ourselves the permission to choose ourselves first without the guilt. So that's the prescription. Reflect, regulate, and reconnect. 3 steps that aren't always linear. These steps you can go back and forth and in between, but these 3 steps, they work because they honor both the pain and the possibility of you becoming who you were truly meant to be. I want to leave you with something today that's practical. Before you leave this room, I want you to do a brief reflection. Because as I mentioned, transformation starts in moments just like this one. Think about a transition you've been through, or maybe one that you're in the middle of right now. Ask yourself these 3 questions. What emotions came up during this season of transition or life change? Did I ever actually give myself space to feel them? How did I grow? Or even if it was painful, how did I evolve? And the third question, what affirmation would you give yourself right now as an empowerment tool or as an anchor for the next time that transition comes? The affirmation that you just wrote, that is your prescription. Here is what I want every woman in this room to carry with them today. You are not starting over. You are evolving. The transition that had broken you open, it didn't destroy you. These transitions have actually been preparing you, every single one of them. And if you're in the middle of one right now, if you are in that state, if you feel like you have dissolved and don't know what you're becoming, I want you to know you're not lost. You're in the process of being made. If you're ready to stop surviving and start living, if you are ready to reflect, regulate, and reconnect, I will be honored to walk that journey with you. My therapy service and affirmation cards are available and are both born directly from the work I just shared with you today. My information, I will add it to the information bar because you deserve more than just survival. You deserve to be well. You deserve to be whole. And as always, like I say, life is a journey and every experience is leading you to your destination.